Hey guys, welcome back. We are joining our sleeves to our Chloe Cardigan today. This tutorial can be used for either size that I have listed in the pattern. So small, medium, large, extra large. And I'm gonna be real at this point. We have discussed doing 3 full squares as a sleeve option, but what I will say, just to preface everything, I do not believe that we need, at this point, this may change, but I do not believe that we need a separate tutorial for joining should you have decided to do 3 full squares. When we get to the point of joining onto this cardigan, I think that everyone who is doing this pattern is absolutely well equipped with the knowledge of it would join the same way. You just may need to adjust the placement as far as what cluster you start at. So don't worry about that right now. What I'm going to do though, I just wanted to mention that because you may be like, but I have 3 squares and I didn't do rectangle. Well, that's okay. I just wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way, and you can still follow this tutorial and I feel like it's still going to be okay. So I've already joined my right sleeve over here. I have to be very careful with direction because I understand this looks like it's on the left. Well, it is on your left if you're facing it, but look, imagine this cardigan is on me and I laid down flat on this. This would be my right arm. See, I turned around, that's my right arm. This is your left sleeve. Look at your joining chart, guys. Look at your joining chart, please, 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 or you absolutely are not you're gonna confuse yourself like crazy trying to join this, because when you join the right sleeve and when you join the left sleeve, there is a specific panel that you have to start on. So obviously these are not joined yet and these are joined. I just wanted to show you, let's put the body here out of the way for now so we can focus on our sleeves. I wanted to show you what we're trying to get to. This is what you're going to have as a completed sleeve panel, okay? You're going to have this side open up here and the entire side open here, and you're gonna end down here in your rectangle. We end with the rectangle. You must. Do not start with the rectangle. And it's gonna be cool because I'm gonna join these 3 with you and it's gonna be great. What I want you to envision just right from the get-go is when you finish, you're gonna have a sleeve, okay? It's gonna be a little bit bigger than that because you'll have a join. This is why we leave this open up here, because at the end you have to close with finishing out. You have to close the sleeve. It doesn't look like a sleeve yet, but as you join it to the back panel, it's going to close and become your sleeve, okay? This is our end result before we get to the panel. So what we're gonna do first though is take it nice step by step. We're going to work with our 3 motifs here, get them attached, and then we're gonna start looking at the front and back panel and how to get it all together to actually make a cardigan come to life. So like I said here, we've got our 3 motifs. I have them lined up according to how I want them to sit. Obviously the rectangle is going to go last, as I said. So we want to stack them up this way. And I put my back panel on top of my yarn. Come here, please. I have some yarn already pulled because I have it actually pulled from both ends of the skein so that I can do this with you guys. Okay, we are going to do our standard joining. Slight difference here as far as how many sides you work at first. Remember, I mentioned that you'll have 2 open sides of your starting rectangle because you have to join the sleeve later. There's a way you can finagle and fix that, but we're just gonna try to avoid it. So we're doing our standard continuous join as you go. As we've been doing, you should be completely like an expert at it by now. We're joining there with a chain and another chain, which counts as my first double crochet of my cluster. Finishing out my granny cluster, skipping how many? You said it, didn't you? You said 3. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. If you've been with me from the beginning on my patterns, oh my lordy, you are an OG. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but still, you know, 6 months, OG status, watching all these videos, letting me just crochet along with you. I feel like I'm really far away from the table. If you guys could see like how scooted back my honey quarters are from this table. Oh my goodness. I'm like extended here with my arms. This is almost not comfortable. All right, we're gonna turn and finish our corner here, and we're gonna go down one more side of your rectangle, okay? 1, 2, 3, and 4th stitch after the corner. Remember, there's only one time that we did that, or for one motif that we do that we do not skip 3, we skip 2. It's the only time in the pattern that I break my rule. And of course I have a knot. Why does this keep happening to me? I feel like I'm being tested. I don't know that I deserve this. I don't know that I've pulled apart magic. I don't know that that was something that was necessary to add to my life, but it's okay. I'm gonna feel so good once I show y'all how to do this, because my pre-testers, I've had to explain the sleeve join verbally and like using an already made cardigan, because I wasn't to the point where I had more motifs made where I could show them how to do it. And I am not gonna lie, it has been flipping maddening. Like, not mad, I'm just saying, like, I've been going crazy trying to figure it out. So we have one side, this is how we're gonna end up, right? We have 1 and 1. Now we have one side. Oh my God, we have 2 sides, but we have 1 and 1. 1 and 1 makes 2. We're gonna grab our 2nd square because we wanna leave these open, and go ahead and attach with a standing double crochet. I'm not really gonna explain in depth all of these things, guys, because if you've gotten to the sleeve portion, then you've already like done the tutorial video on how to do all of these stitches, okay? I want to get us to the main event of joining your sleeve. And I'm not going to record this entire motif either. We're gonna skip ahead to where I attach the rectangle, and I will do the rectangle with you just in case you're feeling a little nervy about it. That is not a problem. All right, so you're going to continue around, like keep joining, and then go down and over, and I'm gonna meet you here where we're going to attach our rectangle. All right, we're ready to do our rectangle. So we've got 1, 2, and here we are. We're going to do a standing double crochet into the corner of the rectangle. Now listen, it doesn't really matter which way this faces. I get this question. I don't care. You do what you want, boo. Like, this is going to actually end up next to your side, kind of in your armpit. So this really doesn't matter. The orientation of how your half motif, how your rectangle is done, please maker's choice. There is no wrong way, okay? I promise, because the sides should all be even. These 2 sides should have the same amount of stitches. These 2 sides should have the same amount of stitches. So I did my other sleeve like this, so I'm just gonna do the same thing. But I promise you, I don't care personally. Do a standing double crochet, just as if, don't overthink it, just as if you're working into a square, because you kind of are. The long side is literally the same amount of stitches. That's why it matches. You're working your granny cluster. Bubba, you're really doing some heavy breathing over there today. I need you to control what's happening. Thank you. All right, working across, you skipped 3 after the corner, and we are just going gently into that good night, because that's what we want to be. We want to be gentle. We don't want to be aggressive. Please don't send me aggressive messages telling me I was of zero help, because that's a lie. I'm not going. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. I will not be answering those messages, because I'm doing everything I can here, short of coming to your house and doing it for you. And guess what? I'm not going to do that. It's just not happening. Unless I know you really well, but even then, I'll just come and watch you do it. Because I'll be over on, the sofa hanging out and being like, yep, looks great. And you know what, guys? It does look great. This really is one of those things that when this was a really hard pattern to put into written form for certain things. It just really, It was hard to limit the words because I felt like too many words made it actually really complicated, more than it was. And I was like, I mean, even in the pattern you saw, highly encourage and recommend you opening the tutorial video. If you don't, I cannot be responsible. All right, we're not done. We're just continuing on. We're finishing our corner here. We are going to be working into every corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, every corner of the rectangle so that we can be ready for that flat edge, 1, 2, 3, and to attach to the panels, 1, 2, look at that, look how perfect it was, to the panels of the body of the Cardi. And that's gonna be the mind-boggling part. And I apologize for that, but I'm going to go as slow as possible and probably show you things an absurd amount of times, but 1, 2, 3, 4. I am gonna really try to give you all the shortcuts I can. I think my dog is fixing to need to go outside, so you might hear him get annoyed with me. He doesn't talk that much anymore because he's such an old boy, but he sometimes will look at me with those big, beautiful, husky, soulful eyes and go, no, like, I wanna go outside, Mama. I wanna go outside. And right now he's just kind of hanging out behind me, loitering. Every video features Neville's lazy breathing. Okay, we're gonna stop at a half corner, guys. By the way, both sleeves are constructed the same way. Open. They're both constructed the same way. And when you lay them out, it's gonna be like, but one's upside down. How can they be constructed the same way? Like the rectangle's on the bottom and the rectangle's on top. Full stop. There you go. You're overthinking it. Stop it. The way they are attached to each side, you are always going to be attaching the rectangle first. I promise. It's just one is starting up here because you're creating a sleeve. I'm going to back the camera up. Don't worry. And one is starting down here on the front panel, going around creating a sleeve. Grab your stitch markers, guys, because it's about to get real. Okay, deep breath. It's all gonna be great. I have worked this and worked this and worked this, and I am absolutely, look at that, I've already got stitch markers over here. I'm gonna leave those for a second because I'm gonna show you how to do what I've done over here, over on the right sleeve. So I always start with the right, I don't know why, but I do. Very first thing you need to do, grab some nice bright stitch markers. You need 4, okay? We are looking at the top of the front panel. I know sometimes that can be hard to see. Everything's blending together. This is your front panel, okay? You're gonna take these 2 joined corners. You've got these spaces right here. We're gonna put a stitch marker in each of those spaces. Are you doing it? I hope you're doing it because I'm doing this with you in real time. All right, just flip it over. Keep everything together, okay? Just flip it over. And look, the matching corners, the mirrored corners on the back between the first and second motifs, put a stitch marker in each of those chain spaces. Okay, these are going to give you a nice visual guide. I also want you to take a totally different color, please. All right, don't use red, use something different so that it's different for your eye. I know you're like, well, Melly, it doesn't matter, I can do it. I'm just making recommendations of what helps me visually. From these corners, remember this is the top, your shoulder. From these corners, I want you to go 2 cluster spaces down, holding the panels together. Do you see this? They are mirrored, corners to corner. That's why we did these first, okay? So you've got your corner space on each side. See? I want you to count over 1 space, 2 spaces to the second. All right? 2 spaces down. You're going to put the stitch marker around both of the panels space there, okay? So you've attached, look at that. We made a sleeve hole, okay? This is the area in which we will be attaching our sleeve, and what panel you start on, these are your starting points. What panel you start on depends on the side that you're working on. It is in the pattern, it tells you when. Remember, look at your chart. Right side, left side. That doesn't make sense on the video, but I'm not changing it because if you're looking at the chart, right sleeve, left sleeve as you are wearing it, okay? I'm gonna turn this and show you the left sleeve that I have done the same thing with my stitch markers, okay? Panel, I've come to where they meet, the two motifs meet, and I've gotten in there, and then I flipped it. And even if you didn't have them flipped, it's fine. I mean, it's literally the top motif and the second motif. The space is in between here. And then I held everything together, and I went one cluster, two clusters. See how I can put the finger right through there? That doesn't sound right, but it's fine. And then you put a stitch marker, different color I recommend, through there, and you have a sleeve hole, okay? This is the best way I know how to do it. This is the most simplest way. Please use the stitch markers. You're gonna need one more stitch marker, by the way, for in a bit. It doesn't have to be a specific color. I'm actually gonna use this cutie here. So what we're gonna do, I'm going to start on the right sleeve. That means that I take your cardigan, this is the front, flip it to the back, okay? Are you looking at it the same way? This is your shoulder, this is your waist. Shoulder should be at your right hand because you're working down this way, okay? We're gonna take our motif, our sleeve motif. If you want to envision this, I don't wanna confuse you, but you absolutely could take, I should have put a stitch marker in this, sorry. You absolutely, I'm gonna have to rechain. Sorry, hold please. Usually I have a big, there we go. You absolutely could take your sleeve and you could spin it around and you could actually stitch mark this, okay? Because everything's going to line up like this. You could stitch mark that together. Do you see how that is? Starting point is at these. That's how you're gonna go. This is your turning point. And we would flip the panel, which is what I'm gonna show you to do. But this is how your sleeve is going to look. See how it's attached as a sleeve? You're starting to visualize it? Okay, now let's take it one step at a time, all right? And I'm going to zoom in, but just know you are working the right sleeve. This is the back panel that we are going to be working into for the right sleeve. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. These stitch markers are going to get in the way a little bit, but they are a necessary evil, okay? You can take them out when I tell you to, and like once you've used them, I think it's fine to take them out because you're not gonna need to reference these once you've worked into those chain spaces. So completely separate sleeve here, working from where we left off on the rectangle. You've done one granny cluster, chain two. You are going to go from right to left because this is how we crochet. Just kind of pushing that stitch marker out of the way. I'm going to slip stitch into both of these chain spaces to secure it. So one, and then flip that out of the way. See what I mean? I'm actually, I normally would have removed this by now, but I'm really trying to give you all visual aid here. 1, 2, all right? Those two are done. Remove those stitch markers so you don't want to throw your cardigan across the room in an irrational fit of anger. I'm not saying that's happened, but I'm not saying it hasn't happened. All right, we're joined to the back panel, okay? We need to complete this corner, okay, guys? So we're gonna do a double crochet in the corner and we're going to slip stitch across to the next double crochet available. Just like we've been doing, same joining sequence, same technique, nothing has changed in this. I'm not teaching you something new. And third, and I like to go in the space between the clusters because it's cleaner. All right, you see we have one more we need to join across before we hit this little cute little blue stitch marker, okay? So we're gonna skip 1, 2, 3, go into the fourth. Sorry, my lighting is crap. Maybe my phone will adjust that. Stitch, slip stitch across. Go again, do this with the second. Now this is gonna start getting in the way. It's fine, it's a necessary evil, just chill, it's okay. Work through that next stitch across. Do one more double crochet to complete that granny cluster and pause. Now remember, we've got these attached. These panels are attached together because we're about to create the pit of our sleeve, okay? So that we're actually starting to create that shape. You are going to take your hook and stick it into that space between both. We have gone through front and back panel here, and we're going to slip stitch. Perfect. All right, now what I recommend before we continue, take your cute little stitch marker. I actually lost, I don't see my, oh, there it is. Hey, hallelujah. All right, I recommend taking your hook out of the working yarn and just stitch marking it so it doesn't all pull loose when we do a little flipperoo here. So let me move my hook, let me move these extra stitch markers, and I'm gonna pull back my, my view here before I do anything so you can do this with me. Okay, haven't moved anything. Sleeve, we were working. Shoulder, waist, back panel. All right, you're good, you're secure. We've slip stitched through both, so technically this is attached. Now see how we've created this armhole? Well, now we've got to work around that hole that we have created. So you're going to take all of your work. It's okay if you can't flip it all together. I think that you can. I just kind of grab here, grab everything. We're gonna flip it, okay? So that we're looking at the front panel. You ready? Flip. Everything's flipped. Straighten it out so you're not all tangly and stuff. Front panel. And now you're probably like, excuse me, Melly, but now my sleeve is going the wrong way. Why? I can't work this way. No, you're right. You can't work that way. That would be ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So how does your sleeve have to go? It goes this way, guys. And now you're looking at the right, correct side. The correct side, not wrong side. This is your wrong side. Look at all those woven ends. You're just folding it, and we're gonna start working this way, okay? You see it? Front panel, sleeve, all the corners are gonna line up. Look at that. It's gonna fold like that, and that's how it's gonna look, okay? Following me? We flipped our work. Pause and rewind that if you need to see it again. But I'm going to zoom back in so we can get our yarn here, our working yarn, and we can continue to work into the front panel only and attach our sleeve. This is going to be the easier part, okay? All right, here we go. I'm going to take my holding stitch marker here out. Get my hook back in there. Okay. Now from here, looking at your rectangle, the last stitch you worked into. You're going to count over 1, 2, 3. If you need a stitch marker for doing this, guys, please, there's no shame in it. That's the last one we worked in. We're working over 1, 2, 3, just the same as our regular sequence. Work a double crochet. Go across to the next one after that stitch marker that you're holding. It makes sense, right? You're like, oh, that does make sense. I read it and I thought you were a psychopath. No, I don't think so. And then slip stitch across, finish out your cluster, slip stitch across. All right, one more, skip, 1, 2, into the corner. Okay. You're about to be able to remove that little red stitch marker, and I'm going to remove those before I work into the corners because they're just in the way, okay? And you can see what comes next. So we've got our next two corners. I'm gonna take those stitch markers out because you're there, you don't need them. All right, we finished our last double crochet. We're gonna go into the first corner here, the next space, the next corner space, slip stitch. Now, if you slip stitched across, you would have this huge hole right here. Big hole. Don't want that, okay? You've got to come down. You're kind of making a backwards V. Start it up here. We're going to come down into the sleeve panel and do a slip stitch into that nub. Look how it connects so nicely. Look at that. And then you're going to insert your hook into the next chain space on the panel to complete that backwards V that we made. And look at that. Let me fold this a little bit so you can see how it's taking shape. See that? Isn't that nice? Look at that. Now it gets real easy, guys. Real easy, okay? From here, just like we've done with our back panel and everything else, we just do our completed corner here with another granny cluster and slip stitch across, okay? Now, I'm gonna stay with you for the rest of this just because I don't want you to freak out. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to cover my bases here and make sure everybody is cool because we've got one more of those V formations. I didn't know what to call that. It's just, it makes the V shape, you know? 1, 2, and 3. We're working into a square, so we'll have a few more clusters in this motif than the rectangle. How you doing? Is everything good? Did you throw anything yet? I hope you didn't, because it's pretty good explanation. And I will show y'all the briefer version of the left sleeve after this, because you do join on the front panel first and not the back, but it's the same flow. You're just starting on a different panel, but I'm gonna show you. Here we go. Remember, this works the same whether you did the small medium or the large extra large size, because the amount of stitches on the side of a rectangle is the same on the side of a triangle and the same on the side of the square. All right, we're working into this corner. Now this is the shoulder, okay? So it's gonna start getting a little bendy, but you know what you can do? You can just straighten that out a little bit where you can see where you're fixing to work into, okay? Just finagle it, one of my favorite little words. All right, we're double crocheting, slip stitch across, double crocheting, slip stitch into that next space, come down to that nub on the sleeve motif, slip stitch, so pulls it together, and then slip stitch into the next chain space on your body. You made a V, okay? Victory. All right, we're fixing to be able to just kind of turn our work a little bit. So you see, I need to see what I'm doing here. So I'm just gonna kind of flip over. Did you see it? This is the front panel, okay? Want me to back it up? I'll back it up. All right, I'm working over here. I'm just gonna flip so I can finish out my sleeve right here, okay? Okay. I already made my first stitch for my corner, so I need to slip stitch across and just finish this side out, okay? My dog is quieted down. He wants to be fed. So does his mama. I'm starving. Left my coffee over on the coffee bar over there, and I am really needing some sustenance. Need some food. All right, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna get you all the way over here to the other, where we started, so we can close everything off. 1, 2, 3, almost there, almost there. Hopefully you're working along with me. Need a little more yarn. It really starts to feel, whoops, it really starts to feel real when you've made the first sleeve, because you can actually try it on and be like, oh my gosh, look at that. I made this. Almost there. Make sure I'm still, oh yeah, I'm still in screen. Perfect. Sometimes I worry I start to pull this towards me and I'm like, I've left them all behind. Okay, we're working this last corner before we turn to attach the sleeve and close it off, okay? So we double crocheted in the corner, we're slip stitching across, another double crochet in the corner, slip stitch across, double crochet. This is kind of like when we do the back panels. Just turn your work here. Don't even think of it as a sleeve anymore. We're gonna slip stitch counterclockwise way, remember? First corner, up to the second corner, slip stitch, and then over to my third corner, slip stitch. Now it's all locked in place. And now I can continue with another cluster and slip stitch across, and look at that, guys. It's gonna close my sleeve perfectly. Tell me you're not a little impressed with that. I mean, I get it. Some of you are gonna be like, that is so easy. You know, anybody could do that. Well, I beg to differ because I've had to explain it many times, but it works when you see it in action here. It's like, oh, well, duh, that of course that works. It's incredible. Like, I love how that comes together so perfectly, and I don't have to slip stitch and I don't have to sew anything. I mean, you have an option to sew later on in this pattern for the sides of your panels together, but you don't have to. You can literally slip stitch and close the sides of the panels, or you can do it the way I like to do it, which is a continuous join as you go, because I like to give myself a little extra breathing room. More on that later. Still working across, same sequencing we do for all of our joining. Beautiful. Almost there, almost there. Come on. It's always funny at the end because it looks like it's not, it's gonna be uneven, and I always panic a little bit because I'm like, it's not even. Like it will be, just calm down. It's because you have a completed corner and a non-completed corner. So we've got to complete our corner from when we started because we only did one cluster to begin with. We're slip stitching across, last granny cluster, into the chain space we go with a slip stitch. Make sure to chain one and then go into the top of your first double crochet, which was that chain two. Voila. Et voila. We're gonna give it a snip. And I'm going to bring this up so you can see the finished sleeve. Looking at this. Perfect. I'm so excited that that's been done. So there you go. Look, it's a sleeve. It happened. It worked. That's what you should have, guys. Everything matches up. You did it. You did it. We can actually take that out now. We all done with that side. Now I'm going to take you over to this side because this sleeve we start, because you have to carry on. Look, see this? See, I didn't put a stitch marker, so I have to finish my corner now. All right. Remember that for the left sleeve, you start over. This is the front panel. You start on the front panel, okay? So remember our little stitch mark corners, second panel down. We're gonna take this, our working yarn, and we're going to slip stitch into each of these spaces. I'm gonna get a little closer. We're gonna do this one more time, just not the whole thing, but I'm gonna give you all those high points from the flipping and then go through that V-stitch kind of slip stitch situation that I did once we started joining back to the panels. Hold please. Okay, so here we are, ready to attach the sleeve on the left side. First, we just need to slip stitch to get it attached to the front panel. This is the front panel. There's one slip stitch. I really want to remove this because it's just in the way. It bugs me. And then second slip stitch into the next space. Remove that. Now we need to yarn over and start working into our rectangle to complete our corner. Working across. Remember, we do 2 of these. Whoops, it's a little close. You gotta be a little more careful with grabbing your stitches when things are attached together like that. Skipping 1, 2, 3 into the 4th stitch. Slow and steady wins the race. Same stitch, across, same stitch. Okay, now remember, we are attached together. Front and back panels are attached together. Our last slip stitch from our last double crochet of our granny cluster is going to go through the top, just like normal. Don't overthink it. And just slip stitch through both spaces, okay? Now remember, before we flip, I'm going to take my cutie stitch marker here and I'm going to mark it and remove my hook so I don't lose all of what I just did. Now, I'm going to back up again. I know, in and out and in and out. I'm so sorry, but I want to show you just everything because this is our shoulder and this is our waist. So hold. All right, see where we were working? This is where we were working from, shoulder, waist. Now we are going to flip the whole thing. This is our front panel. We're fixing to work in the back, okay? We're just gonna do that. Gotta bring my panel through because you gotta get your yarn right. Whatever it takes to get your yarn right. I'm not gonna tell you how to do that because your method may be different than mine, as long as you can get your yarn pulled back around to where you can work with it. Now, again, right? We can't go this way. That would be silly. This is your shoulder. This is your waist. You gotta flip to start working up the side to finish out the sleeve, okay? Let's zoom back in and get this going to where I'm gonna get you just past this, and then I'll meet you back when I'm all done and we'll look at the whole thing together and actually see some sleeves. Okay, we're gonna get my, wow, the hook, see, it came off there. In my working yarn on my hook, where I left off here, I want to count 2 over, and I'm going to work into the 3rd, okay? Yarn over, do a double crochet, work into the next available stitch after that blue stitch marker. Slip stitch, and then just keep doing your granny clusters. Broken record at this point, guys. Broken flipping record. Do your clusters, go into the space. Okay. Into the space one more time. You can remove these because they're just marking those spaces so we had a visual. These are what you're fixing to work into with some slip stitches, okay? So, my last granny, or my last double crochet of my granny cluster, I'm going to slip stitch across into the space, go down back into the sleeve, that nub right there, the bottom of the V, and then back into the next chain space, chain corner space, to slip stitch for the top of the V to bring it together. And then you just simply carry on the same sequence around. Don't forget, when you turn at the end, you're just joining everything together on your sleeve to close it off. And I'm going to meet you back at the very end of this sleeve. So you may want to pause, get where you need to go, and I will see you in 0.1 milliseconds. And there you have it. I am excited that that is all done. And remember when I said it was all like wonky and stuff? Look how it just comes together. Little sweet neckline. You've got sleeve, sleeve. Weave those ends in like the adults you are. Responsible. Kicking butt. Look at this. Oh, and if you're not an adult and you're doing this, just be responsible, you know, crochet responsibly, everyone. So yeah, next, you will move into closing your sides, and then we'll move into making the sleeves. But guys, you can go try this on. You have a fit to see yourself in a cardigan with sleeves. Well done. I'm very proud of you. That was a doozy. But we did it together, and it's great. So have a wonderful, blessed day, you guys.